Hi everyone, this is Jentrell, and here is a brief overview of my lesson plan. For my projects, my students are working on a web quest that I developed about Shakespeare. I thought about creating this web quest because learning about Shakespeare and even reading his work can be difficult, especially for younger high school students. I wanted them to discover for themselves if Shakespeare's writings are relevant today and if he is indeed important. So here's the web quest they will use to reach content standards like conducting research. As you see, I've incorporated some videos on the tools that they'll be using. They'll also reach the standards of writing and using the full writing process in task 2. And they'll be working both individually and in small groups to develop their individual essays as well as a collaborative group essay. And as well as I have included some videos to help them with that writing process and including in-text citations. By working on this project, they'll also be reaching some of the technology standards, particularly with collaborating. As I stated previously, they'll collaborate to write their essays. They'll also do some peer revising and editing. I developed a checklist for them to do that revising and editing. And they'll also use technology standards as I've given them a little slideshow on how to use one of the editing tools and development tools in their Google Docs. For the technology-based project portion of their project, students will also need to incorporate things such as picture and music, and I want them to learn about fair use and copyright. So I gave them a copy of a PowerPoint presentation that I created that they would need to incorporate and look at as part of their project. As part of their project, the students were able to use a variety of different technology tools. The first one that they used is Pearl Trees, and that is used to help them to conduct their research. We compiled various articles that they could use for their essays. And then when they use that, they also use the tool Digo, which they use to annotate and make notes and highlight any of the information that they found on their Pearl Trees articles. In addition to those tools, I gave the students the option of creating an online magazine using Mad Mags, and here's just a copy, a sample copy that I gave them of my magazine. They also could create a video using Animoto. And again, here's just a sample that I showed them of mine. Or they could create their own podcast using Podbean or Podomatic. Students also use Google Docs as well as the add-on, the Essential Editor add-on tool that I showed them how to use to do their pre-writing, their revising, drafting, and editing for the project. To differentiate the lesson, I gave students visuals. They had videos, as I showed you before, and I also allowed them to make choices as far as what topics they want to write on, as well as how they would present their final information. Again, they could create their own magazine, their own video, or conduct an interview with Shakespeare using a podcast. The assessments included quizzes over works cited and in-text citations, as well as a quiz over copyright and fair use. They completed a checklist for revision as well as editing, and I used a rubric to review and score their essay, their videos, their magazines, and their podcasts. As I reflect on this project, my suggestion is to allow yourself plenty of time to develop your As I reflect on this project, my suggestion is to allow yourself plenty of time to develop your lesson. Web quests are a great way to challenge students' thinking and allow for self-discovery. Putting in the work ahead of time gives you the opportunity to work with your students. Also, it is important to be prepared and knowledgeable about the content and tools you want your students to work with. Finally, I recommend giving students several examples of what you are looking for as a final product and thoroughly explain how they should reach their final goal.